Cold cuts, butthurt cousins, and the worst transition in media history. It's The Sopranos Season 5, Episode 10. Welcome back to the channel.
Yeah, and after that intro, we're talking about cold cuts and worst edits and cousins that, are bitter and don't like each other. It could only be The Sopranos.
Yeah. See that transition? Movie maker-esque. Microsoft PowerPoint, man. We're talking about a TV show that's I'd say this TV show is probably generated in your billions, man.
And for me, the fact they left that in is embarrassing. How easy would that have been to cut out?
I know.
Before it got released.
There's somebody, when I was watching this on Prime, it's like, how have they not even removed it from when it got, shown on television 20 years ago?
Do they think it adds character or something?
No, definitely not character. I mean, Carmela walks away, and then it just transitions to them sitting, fishing. I mean, brilliant. But anyway, Tony and Johnny Sack meet about a missing load of smuggled Vespas. Johnny essentially tells Tony, well, you know what, your cousin wasn't there that night, and the Vespas aren't there this night. And Tony's like, what? He's fucking lowballing me?
This relationship is going down the toilet. You can sense it.
Would you fucking stop? Then we see Benny and another member of Carlo's crew batter the guy at the port. It turns out Phil Leotardo is the man that took the scooter. So, New York and New Jersey, there's a wedge being put in there. But that's kind of the last we've seen about this. Tony then returns home. He's watching telly. Then Janice is actually on the telly because she got arrested at the soccer game.
And Tony, in typical Tony fashion, just doesn't like this. And I thought he was going to have another heart attack, another meltdown.
Yeah, he nearly did. He storms over, he confronts her. He's like, oh, that soprano temper. He's like, you know what, Bobby, you need to get control of your wife.
Yeah, he's some guy to talk about temper.
Yeah, I know, but it's not a good look, I get it, but
Tony the temper soprano.
Tony the Tiger. But Bobby gives Janice the ultimatum.
But it's like he doesn't really give a shit, man. It's like he doesn't care why or how or if Janice is alright. It's just more selfish motives, isn't it, from Tony?
Yeah.
He doesn't want anything that can bring spotlight or attention to him.
Bobby's like, but she called her daughter. I don't give a fuck. Oh, would you stop? He didn't care.
Okay, I do care.
Okay, I do care.
Not really.
Not really. I kind of care, man. I kind of care. But Tony, it's not good. He's not loving life at the end of the day. He then goes over to the household where he put all the money into. Turns out there's no water in the pool. He can't believe it. He's been betrayed.
Yeah, this is probably the worst I've ever seen Tony take anything, man. It's like his world just came crashing down, that he can no longer throw his big fat ass into his pool because the water's gone. He confronts Carmela. Carmela's like, it was costing too much money. But really, this is just a dig from Carmela. Tony's going to stop paying her money. She's going to stop the water in the pool. That's what it is. Tit for tat here. It's kind of lame for both.
No, it is. We then basically, a lot of this episode takes place on a farm, Uncle Pat Blondetto's farm. Tony tasked Tony B and Christopher to remove a bunch of bodies at this farm. It was good seeing Christopher and Tony B, get on, bond. Some of that cousin bond, I was going to say bondage, that doesn't work, no, leave that word, it's just Bond, the name's Bond. So yeah, essentially they're making fun of Tony, right? And, Tony B's getting his digs in, Christopher's getting his digs in, it's all good. And then Tony B's like, oh, you wouldn't tell him these things, Chris. Chris is like, no, to the grave. 10 minutes later, he tells him everything. No, but I think Chris is pathetic, right? He told Adriana earlier in the episode, oh, these guys used to bully the fuck out of me down in this farm. I was 11, they were 18. It was all because of... Chris, would you fucking grow up?
It was a long time ago.
No, what I would say is not right is the fact that they kind of made fun of his sobriety and made fun of the fact that he's getting clean.
See, I don't think Tony Soprano would make fun of that, but because Tony B made fun of it, it's like Tony's going to join in, which is, I think, cheap.
Yeah, but I think Tony's the one that took it to the extent. Oh, would you have a drink? Yeah,
but that's because Chris was questioning him and then Tony doubles down, really.
Yeah, but again, I think it's pathetic for all three, man. I don't think anyone in this wee conversation where they were sitting around the table comes out smelling of roses.
It's kind of sad, though, because, Chris and Tony B are making fun of Tony when he's not there, but as soon as Tony Soprano gets there, Tony B just completely changes and You know, the Chris starts becoming the brunt of the jokes again, which I think's poor. And then like it's almost just as bad for Chris to bring up a joke that Tony B made about Tony. But
That joke was for you, you know. Tony doesn't really buy it.
I mean, I don't know if it just went over Tony's head or if he didn't care, but it's like he didn't even acknowledge it really.
But the man with the IQ of 158 quickly directs fire back towards Chris, and Tony's chuckling away. Haha, Christopher. It looks like they've all put the water under the bridge, but then he passes, like the next morning, Tony's like, nah, no, Chris is like, no, I need to go, I can't go hunting with you. He leaves, and then he parks at the side of the road crying. I mean, fuck me, Chris. I think Chris at this stage is about 34, 35. Not that if he was 29, like, it would have been justified, but what's he doing? This is maybe something I'd see him do in season 1, but what's he actually doing here? He's fucking greeting his eyes out over nothing.
Oh, there's a lack of respect. Like, I can kind of see why he's upset.
Okay, it is a lack of respect, right? At the end of the day, but come on, no, I'm not buying it.
Well, don't buy it then. I'm just telling you why he's upset.
Well, I'll put it this way: Tony's going to do a wee bit worse to him. No, not long down the line. He's going to see that big fucking nose of his. See that big fucking nose of his. He's going to fucking yank it, man. But yeah, essentially, Tony returns. The bodies have been disposed of. Georgie at the club. It's like, you have to live for today. And then Tony, for the millionth time this show, fucking starts smashing this guy's face in.
This is just not called for, man. I feel sorry for Georgie. Like, got absolutely battered here, and for what?
It's debatable, the Chris stuff, but this stuff is just absolutely, like, I mean, what are you doing?
And why? I mean, for what? Like, there was just no call for this whatsoever.
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Paulie gives an update on him.
It's like everyone's just afraid to call him out. Everyone's afraid to say, Tony, you crossed the line there. You're out of order. They are pathetic, man. I just don't get it. You look at Sons of Anarchy, like, see if Clay done that. People would fucking say, nah, Clay, that was bang wrong there.
No, I agree. See with Tony B, though, earlier this season, he was saying stuff to Tony, right?
Yeah, but that's when he wasn't relying on Tony.
Yeah, now...
That's when he had his own business going.
Now it's kind of like he's under Tony's thumb, but that's the way Tony likes it, under his big fucking sausage fingers, man. Tony B,
Tony wants you to be relying on him.
Yeah, Paulie tells Tony that Georgie's quitting the Bing and doesn't want to see him again after Tony gave him a wad of cash.
Pockets a lot of money.
Yeah, he's justified. Here, I'm keeping this, Tony. Like, no, but it's like, why doesn't Tony turn around and say,
back then?
Yeah. Tony just looks at him like, fuck, fine, you keep it then. You're spreading word about your boss. But then, I think the Hail Mary for Tony is the final scene of this episode, where Janice, she's been going to her anger management classes, brilliant, they're at dinner, and Tony's like, oh, whatever happened to your other son? Janice's like, yeah, we don't talk about him, Tony. And he's like, alright. And he's like, what's French for, Sacre bleu, what happened to my nephew? And then she fucking loses the plot. Threatens to stab him. Tony's like, Big Harpo, that song, Big Harpo, harpoon. Then Tony storms out, big puffing a cigar, man. Fucking as a song plays, walking down the street like his shit doesn't stink. I thought the ending was brilliant, but you know what? He's a narcissistic bastard. If he can't be happy, no one can be happy. That's
pretty much it. He has to bring everyone else down.
That's the Tony Soprano way. Anyway, I will give this episode, I mean, not a lot happened. I mean, there's some good dialogue in it. I'll give it a 6.
Yeah, I'll give a 7. I enjoyed this episode.
6.5 out of 10. That's it for Cold Cuts. Peace.